welcome in. Today we have another Sky Striker replay that I did want to show y'all. We had this game earlier on a stream, which I actually thought was very interesting because there was a lot of points where a lot of decisions were made by both players that I think had a lot of details that a lot of players would miss or misplay. So I wanted to highlight some of those situations and how you should think about this matchup, both as the Sky Striker player and as you will see the Kewl player in this game. This is the deck list we use for it. It is basically the same as usual, but we were trying out, I don't remember if we were trying out the Ghost Ogre or the Ghost Belt for this game, if that was before or after this game. But this has just been rotating between a Ghost Belt and a Ghost Ogre, trying different things. Otherwise the list is basically the same. All the good striker cards, two of the breakers you don't want to draw multiples of, and then just two of the Lemnis rows to make up for the desires, and then every good card at 3 copies of course. Extract not changed at all, still really happy. Every card makes sense in it, and every card, except still the SP. The SP I still need to find more use cases for. This might take a leap from the deck. But without further ado, let's get a bit of a more in-depth review of a Kewl versus Striker game. Alright, let's go. We are going second this game against Kewl. Striker very obviously has a pretty good matchup into Kewl, and I think this game showcases really well how good you can actually play around Kewn's interruptions, even though your opponent knows what they're doing. So here, to kind of start with the usual Kewl stuff, they have a Q in hand, so they actually get to use the extra normal here without a problem. Searching out an Ash Blossom, always good. Here, to kind of obviously stack my top deck, look at my hand. Grab me a KTS, and then already an interesting point here. They got a Fallen and the Virtuous and a Linkage, and they decide to take the Fallen and the Virtuous away, which I think is generally the correct option. Of Fallen and the Virtuous not only is just good disruption for me to play through boards, it also can be used to chain block a Ceylan, and also just has a use case that it comes back the next turn, because that's another reason why this matchup is so nice for Striker. If I can deal with the board, Fallen and the Virtuous maybe gets rid of a JJ, it comes back, and let Sky Striker, even though it doesn't kill, take control completely of the game in the following turn. So taking away that makes a lot of sense, but that actually gives me quite an option here that I don't know if my opponent considered, and you're gonna see that at the start of my turn. But they're gonna come off getting all the Kewl interactions. We are a bit lucky this game that they didn't hard draw any broken hand traps, so the only thing that they actually have is an Ash here. So from this point, we already knew we kinda won, because there is no Ghost Bell and Ash Blossom. They will get one Ash Blossom, but we just need to play correctly and this should be one. So, very notable, this is a thing that you could easily fall into a trap in Sky Striker. Use the Salem Remix, use the Call by Widow Anchor. You think, very, very, very easy. Whenever they go Remix, you Call by, they try to chain Ceylan, we go Widow Anchor, they can't deal with that. Pretty simple, but our opponent here actually knows this. They looked at my hand obviously, but they know how to deal with it. So they're leaving this Rika on the board to make sure that Ceylan can always turn into a back-to-back to dodge a targeted negation. So that is very smart, which means we need to do something else here. So what do? I decide to go first action, get rid of that Ceylan. This serves super to it forces them to play, and also make sure that I will be able to resolve my linkage here. Because they cannot chain Ceylan to this linkage, because if they do, my call by hits this remix. So this basically makes sure I get a 3-0 on the board. So it's gonna resolve. I'm happy with that. I still keep my call by. They're gonna grab back Ash and then go for the Rico. They grab back a mix from graveyard instead of that clip. Probably hoping that they can search a clip later for the KTSS. What we do here is we search and chain rows. I was a bit worried about this play. I think maybe I should have just gone to pop. But I also felt like just getting a second engage will probably clean up the game. Maybe, I think both options are fine. But it does leave me in a precarious state here where I am vulnerable to him kind of blocking me out. But It is kind of fine here still because there's Rico, and Salen negated now. So all I actually have to worry about is these two KTSs, and I have 2 engages in hand, which is very important. So I cannot resolve my engages obviously, but we're gonna start with an upstart, draw talents, that is nice. Now we're gonna go Hayate here for 2 purposes. One, to put a Ray in the graveyard so he can't just fully clear my board. We still have our normal of course, so even if he clears my board here, we can still go search Ray and not be in any trouble. Secondly, I want to contest these 2 Ricos. I do not want him to get back to back. Luckily for me, since I have engages back to back, it's not actually threatening here. But I want to get rid of these bodies so he's forced to use them and he does not have a free will of when he synchros. So that's what we're gonna force here. They're gonna start with going for a mix here on the Rico to go with the RS. And then they're gonna pop. And then it's fine. And then to of course not lose the other RS here, they're just gonna make a Loudness Ward to protect their RS from a Widow Anchor. You know, just to target the negation. Very, very important, making sure that they have their RS negate. And then in their mind here, they have an RS and they have an Ash Blossom, and I have 2 engages. But Skyshock has a really, really broken card here. As you're gonna see, we're gonna make Amatsu here. And of course, although they already synchroned off, we have a Ray in the graveyard, so we're never in any threat ever. And he's just trying to protect those RSs here to make sure my engage doesn't resolve, but I have 2, thanks to searching with that 0. And always keeping my board, you know, available. And now I can start with someone. He's gonna Ash it, and I can call by it. And he cannot RS this call by or engage because Amatsu completely checks the RS. Because he negates anything with 2,000 attack, he will just be popped and bring back a Ray. So there's just nothing he can absolutely do. He still has a Loudness Ward, but there's nothing important Loudness Ward can make. He could try and bounce back in my engage when I try to grab it back off of, say, Kagari, but then he loses his rotor for the rest of the game. Mix doesn't do anything because Reyes comes back. Rico is not going to be useful until I fully clear his board anyways. And I mean, Q is not going to matter at all. So this Loudness Ward is actually doing nothing at the current moment. And his RS can't activate because I just got a Ray on the board that can't tag out. So we're just gonna banish that, resolve it, and here is the finishing blow. Lemnis Gate clears up his board, which means that his RS is gone, he cannot negate it still because of the Amatsu, he will have nothing left. I have another engage and a talent. He knows it. It is completely over. And I still thought this was pretty interesting. This matchup is usually very Skyshocker favored, but the hand trap of Kultun can play a big part. And of course our opponent lacking in those hand traps made it a lot easier. But I still think some of the details of like the battle phase force and the little mind game of keeping Remix in check. You know, I have the call by and I have the negate, but he also has the Salen. I think that little mind game is very easy for both players to mess up. So I thought that was a very interesting thing to take note of, and I do hope you have learned a bit from that. That was the game. I hope you enjoyed. I tried to do a bit more in depth, even though I didn't fully go to it. So do let me know if you are a more fan of, you know, going through the little niches of the game, pausing and, you know, going through what the thought processes of the players are, and of course my thought process as playing that game. Or if you just want more ideas on, you know, the matchups. I think this is a matchup that is pretty favored for Sky Striker. But as you saw that game, there were definitely moments where we could have easily messed up and ended ourselves in a really bad position where he could completely check any play ahead. So I think it's very interesting to take note of those games and, you know, ingrain them into your mind to see how your opponents may be just outplaying you and how to avoid stuff like that. Other than that, I hope you enjoyed the game, and I will see you all next time. Bye bye.